Hello and welcome back to Thirsty Thursday. Will, today we're going to do that thing which we tell everyone not to do, right? We're going to start with like self-indulgent celebration.
Right, exactly. It's the, this Thirsty Thursday weekly recording started as the 4 p.m. report after show, a spin-off from our podcast, the 4 a.m. report. And the news of the day for us that you'll probably see us making a little clamor about all over social media is that we turned 100. It was the 100th episode today.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Here we've got cupcakes.
Oh yeah. Someone's going to edit something into our hands there. Thanks, Jeremy. Okay.
This is awesome. 100 episodes. And I think what we took away from it more than anything else was the value of consistency. And how it gets easier. So we have actually put down a bunch of lessons on that coming up. That said, our 100th episode has a special guest on it, and Alan Gannett, author of The Creative Curve and Tech Investor, passed by to talk about the value of creativity, how to build it.
Favorite topic of ours. Yes, a favorite topic.
Favorite.
Yes.
Totally. So check that out if you haven't already seen it. Now on to the stories of the week.
We had some good ones. We were going to start by talking about NFTs. Every week there's a new story about someone spending lots of money on these non-fungible tokens. Is that what it stands for?
That's right.
Yes. Why don't you tell the story here?
Yeah, so a couple of brands did cool things this week, I think. One of them was Stella Artois that has started this thing called the non-fungible tip, a play on token. And the idea is that they're selling NFTs, which are intended to be tips for bartenders. So it's interesting. I mean, like we've talked about how we don't fully understand NFTs and their value. That said, it is becoming an intrinsic part of the many brands play, right? So
yeah, when I went on Clubhouse, the first time I went on Clubhouse and ended up in a room listening to Lindsay Lohan talk about NFTs, I was like, I guess I should be paying attention to this if Lohan is jumping into the NFT world. But for those of you who don't fully understand it, it's like a one-of-a-kind digital print is what we're talking about. It could also be music or a music video. Some artists and musicians are diving into the NFT world again. And by buying this blockchain protected one piece of digital art, you're the sole owner of it. I know some of the artists do retain some kind of, if you resell it, they get some kind of thing as well. But Stella did that. And also there was that, it's called Disaster Girl. There was a photo taken outside of a fire in North or South Carolina somewhere a few years ago of this little kid looking maniacally at the fire behind her. She was not involved in the fire, but everyone used her as a meme. She became a famous meme, this Disaster Girl meme, and someone sold that original as an NFT recently as well. So it seems to be this big thing that people want to spend money on. Yeah.
Right. It's very interesting. What's the next on our...
We were going to talk about extra being extra. So everyone's talking about the extra gum ad. It's basically their fantastical imagining of a return to normal. And the tie-in for extra obviously is, it's a 2-minute long epic commercial with a Celine Dion background. It's all coming back to me now, which gave me chills when I watched it, Susan. Maybe that's the Canadian in me. But and also, don't you feel the older we get, the more we appreciate Celine Dion? Like I never thought
I do agree.
But now I love Celine. So anyways, to Celine Dion, it's a fantastical imagining of, sometime in the not too distant future, we all get to go back to normal. And it's people emerging from like, their sweatsuits and beards grown and getting into the car for the first time and going out and making out with someone on the street and going back to work. And it's done in this wonderfully theatrical way. Of course, the tie-in is we're gonna have to worry about our breath again, right? I'm gonna have to see people. I need my extra gum. So smart, very funny tie-in. But I know that ad has got people so excited, even though it's a silly imagining and it won't go back to normal just like that. It's still fun. Like I enjoyed it a lot.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I did too. I thought the details on that, like the one dude clutching his toilet paper to his chest and the light coming in because they've opened their doors. Like it had such wonderful details in it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's all the things we've been joking about about pandemic living, like having to put on real pants again, so.
I really enjoyed it. So that was one. On then to a story that was less delightful. A Canadian story. So to set the stage, last week there was a situation in which Suzanne Rogers, who is a patron of like the Ryerson School of, what is it? Is it fashion?
Their fashion institute. Yeah, it's called the Ryerson University Rogers Fashion Institute because the family and her are huge donors, and she's the main patron, that sort of thing. Yeah.
And she's also on the board of Sick Kids Hospital.
Yep.
And then she posted on Instagram stories a picture of her whole family sort of like linking arms with good old Trump in Mar-a-Lago, all smiling and talking about what a wonderful wrap up it was to the evening. And you know, the age we live in, people did not take kindly to that because of her many sort of connections to it. And then what happened with Ryerson and the...
Oh, Ryerson, the school itself, the fashion part of Ryerson, the fashion school posted something on social calling her out saying, we need to have a dialogue here. You know, basically a lot of the students that come to the Ryerson school are the people that Trump would not be, that has denigrated, right, basically. So that went out, then that was taken down, and Ryerson proper basically was like, social media is not the place for this to be discussed. And they shut down kind of the school calling Suzanne out, which led us to think, I wonder why a university campus is about dialogue and sharing things like this. I wonder why Ryerson kiboshed the criticism of Suzanne Rogers. Could it be all of the money the family donates to the school?
Yeah. Well, yeah, people started to quantify what their ethics cost, and it was quite a shit show. Many things came out of it. But, you know, the poor Rogers PR team, they had that whole outage, and then they had this happen to them last week. So if they're all still alive and employed, like, we send our love.
One of the things, too, I forgot to mention, two of the high profile members of the advisory board for the fashion school also resigned. Tyler French, who's like a big VP fashion guy at Hudson's Bay, and I can't remember the other person's name. Anyways, two high profile names immediately resigned too. So let's
watch where that goes. What's next?
Next, you brought to my attention a really cool campaign going on in the US around Mother's Day. Tell us about that.
Yes. This came to my attention through Tiffany Dufu, who's involved in it. It's called the Marshall Plan for Moms. And it was the headline that caught my attention. It's like, moms can't take bouquets to the bank. And it's sort of like works with the idea that Mother's Day is when mothers are sort of like celebrated, and you're like, here's all of the flowers. But they're linking that back to the fact that during the pandemic, mothers have lost jobs to the tune of 800 billion. And this is a plan to make that better. So it was really interesting. They had these bouquets, which it's called like the unpaid work bouquet, the lack of childcare bouquet, the pay gap bouquet.
And they're assigning like the pay gap bouquet worth $100,000, the unpaid. So, and you can literally send one of these bouquets to someone in your life. To make a point. I thought it was cool too that they called it the Marshall Plan for Mothers, because as a European history in university, that's what I studied, European studies. The Marshall Plan was when post-World War II, when Europe was broke and messed up and destroyed, the United States invested a ton of money called the Marshall Plan to help rebuild the European economy. And that's what helped the European countries, rise after World War II. It was investing in these people. It was a disaster plan to rebuild the economy. And so they're likening what we need to do for women and mothers right now to the same thing. So as a history nerd, I thought that was a neat tie-in as well.
Very cool. It's a strong statement, and I love it. That said, a few other brands are changing the way they're navigating Mother's Day this year as well, with a lot less of the retail in-your-face pushing of things, because I think it speaks to a sensitivity that comes from the fact that a lot of people have lost family over the last year. You know, many people, their moms, and right now seeing ads flashed about what you should be buying your mom is probably not, the most sensitive way. So good. I think overall that's I'm loving the Mother's Day stories.
Well, happy early Mother's Day, Susan. And
thank you.
Thanks for chatting again. I love seeing you once a week on our camera here for Thirsty Thursday. Happy 100th anniversary of the podcast as well.
Happy 100.
Bye.